Let's go this way. Welcome. You're the first to join our live. I'm Oliver the Wolf Guy, and I'm out here with Ambassador Wolf Iqniq. He's my mature male, about 150 pounds of mostly nice. And we're out on a little patrol here, and what he's doing is what you see dogs do, but in the case of wolves, they're posting no trespassing signs. Welcome, everybody. Hey, just getting started. I am Oliver the Wolf Guy, and I am out here with Ambassador Wolf Iqniq. This is the voice behind the camera. Yes, I know, I look kind of like you'd expect. A curmudgeonly old mountain man who lives up in the mountains of the wolves. Obviously, you guys are probably way more interested to see Iqniq here. So Iqniq, if I flip this camera around here with my big hands, Iqniq is going to be 6 in May. So he's a mature male, and he's about 150 pounds. Oh, just noticed he's got his line looped over his head in a way I don't like. I'm going to try to correct that. Come here. Here, be nice. Okay, easy. There. That's better. So you guys, if you're a follower of my channel, you've seen Iqniq in some of my most popular videos because he's not only super photogenic, he's also, generally speaking, very, very sweet. We're into the spring melt here in our area. This is why we got ice and mud and water. We call this mud season here. And so as the snow melts, it reveals, all the smells of animals and people and whatever that were here before the snow fell. This has actually been a really shabby winter for us. We usually have a lot more snow than this at this time. We're kind of panicking. Oh, all of a sudden we have a big increase in viewers. So I'll start again. Hopefully I don't bore you guys too much. So what's up, everybody? Howls Wolfy people. I'm Oliver the Wolf Guy, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Tahoe Wolf Center. We're a 501c3 that does education about the value of wolves and other native carnivores on the landscape. I'm a wolf conservationist, and I've devoted most of my life to working with and understanding wolves and their behavior and social dynamics. And this afternoon, I'm out with one of our ambassador animals. This here is Iqniq. His name means meteor or fireball in Inuktitut, which is a native dialect, First Nations dialect from Canada. He's about 150 pounds, fully grown. So a very big dog. And yes, wolves are dogs, and dogs are wolves, technically. They're just a human refined version of a wolf. Technically, Canis lupus familiaris is a dog, and in his case, Canis lupus occidentalis is a subspecies. And so if he were in his native habitat, which is not too different from this, he'd be eating elk or bison. His nickname is actually BK, which stands for bison killer, because that's the predominant food source in his natal area. But he's actually a very, very nice boy. He's got a super sweet disposition. He's an amazing example of what an actual alpha wolf would be or look like. And alpha wolves are not what people think. The most important characteristic to be an alpha wolf is actually to be an amazing parent, because you don't get to be an alpha unless you've had pups that you've successfully raised. And so excellent parenting skills is the number one criteria. Actually, the real alphas in wolf family groups tend to be the breeding female. She's the real important animal in the equation. The male sort of being the muscle to her brains, typically. Not that the males are less intelligent, but they defer to the females for decision making, because the females really set the stage for the success of the family group. They have to bear young and make sure that those young are raised correctly, educated. And wolves are very specialized in that regard, because when your food source is much bigger than you and you don't have claws, it means you have to kill it with your teeth. And that's difficult. And wolves are what we call social predators. And this means that they work together to get their food. And this isn't something that is just automatic. They have to observe. And so it takes several years for young wolves to learn how to properly hunt with their family, to understand what that job looks like, how they identify which animals are vulnerable and cut them out of a herd and injure them and bring them down. The big males like Iqniq here, they're not as fast as the females, so they don't usually make first contact, but their job is to get a hold of something and immobilize it. And you would be amazed at how strong this animal is. Let me flip this around for you all so you can see what I'm wearing here. So whenever I'm out with these animals, I have a belt that has been refined over 40 years of walking with wolves. And it allows me to be hands-free and not lose control of my animal, which is super critical, because the last thing in the world I want is to be in the newspaper because one of my animals got loose when we were out on an adventure together. Knock on a tree. I've been doing this for more than 25,000 miles of walks, and I have yet to have an animal go loose, although you'll notice I got a survival pack. And that's because even though it's never happened, I always act like it could. My secret to success with these animals of 40 years is pretty much acting like every animal is a handgun ready to go off every second, and that everything I do, therefore, is intended to deal with any potential emergency. So, for example, he could chew through this rope in about 30 to 40 seconds if he was serious about it. And so if I'm injured, in my pack I have a 16-foot long, quarter-inch aircraft cable. And so as long as I'm conscious, the first thing I'm going to do if I'm injured is I'm going to replace this line here with a cable and hook him to a tree. I even if I'm not that far from civilization, I always carry a sat phone, because you never know and your cell phone's going to not be connectable. And I want to make sure that if I have an emergency, I can get help. So it's very different what I do versus what other people do when they're walking a dog. I sometimes call myself the world's most extreme dog walker, and it's not just because of what I'm dealing with in an animal like this, just the intensity and the potential, but also because, boy, he's really going to town here. So this is scent marking behavior. He's letting every other canine in the area know that he's a big dog. But it's also where I let him take me. So a lot of the patrols that we do, I let the animals choose the route until I need to turn around or keep us out of trouble. And you'll see, this is no walk in the dog park. The last one of these live streams I did with Iqniq, he took me up a cliff because he wanted to be on top of a rock outcropping. So this is where we're at right now. And we're actually just a quarter of a mile out the door of his habitat right now. Although I do occasionally take him in the car and go more far-flung places, but it's always easiest and safest just to leash up and head out a gate. Some of our animals like the car better than others. Iqniq is actually really good in the car, but I have some animals that get car sick. To explore. I'm reading some of the comments, guys. We'll see here. Sorry, guys, there's so many comments blowing up here. Yes, it's an ambassador wolf. All right, I'm just rolling back here. Thank you very much. There's a frog. Rules could kill me. They can, that's true, but my relationship with these animals is the secret to my ability to work with them the way I do. And the investment of most of my life in understanding their behaviors and knowing how to raise an animal so that they love me back. See, oh, I got killed by a wolf. So one weird kid. You're right, there is one woman. To be fair, there's a couple of people that have been killed by captive wolves working with them, which is the most dangerous thing. Wild wolves tend to be very timid of people. But in Lake Iqniq, Alaska, about 12 or 14 years ago, something like that, a woman named Candace Berners was killed potentially by wolves. We don't know for sure because by the time that biologists got to the scene, it had been messed with so much that it was difficult to make a definitive judgment. A friend of mine named Dr. Paul Paquette actually was the only, you'll see where he's taking me now. If I'm breathing hard, it's because I'm carrying a 35-pound pack following a wolf up about a 40-degree slope. So a friend of mine, biologist Paul Paquette, an actual wolf biologist, went out there and in his opinion, and he's the only biologist that investigated, and now we're on top of a little cliff. And he's not going to go down that and drag me with him. That's happened once before. But Dr. Paquette believed that she was actually killed by a bear and that then her remains were scavenged on by wolves. But that is one of two notable wolf-related fatalities in North America in wild wolves. There was one other one in Canada that for sure was wolves. A guy by the name of Kenton Joel Carnegie. And those wolves had been scavenging on a garbage dump outside a mining camp. And they got comfortable with people. And we don't know exactly what happened because he went out alone at night. And they found his body the next day. And it was pretty obvious that wolves had attacked him. So it can happen, but you're more likely to get hit by a car, lightning, killed by bees, fire ants, a pissed off moose. Oh, he's putting me through my paces. By the way, I'm 57, former pro athlete, so I'm in good physical condition, but with the unfortunate side effects of being a former pro athlete, which means every joint in my body is damaged. Oh, and of course, side hill ice. Oh, catch my breath for a second. Am I an alpha? So I was just talking about alpha wolves. Iqniq is an alpha wolf. Gosh, so many questions, you guys. This is awesome. I'm going to try to catch up with them, so bear with me as I answer questions and try to look at the phone here. And maybe I'll flip this around to Iqniq for a second here because he's so beautiful, this animal. So the number one characteristic of being an alpha wolf is not aggression. It's not fierceness. It's not size or strength. It's being a good parent. Because all wolf families are formed by a mother and a father wolf having pups and raising those wolves successfully. And so you become an alpha by being a dad, and you become a dad by being a successful father. And actually, for all your ladies who are tuned in, the most important animal is not the male. It's actually the female. The breeding female is the real alpha. And what's fascinating in our dynamic, what are you eating? What are you eating? Is that bone? Oh no. Oh, we got a hawk crying. That's cool. We're in a beautiful spot, by the way. He's pulled me up to the top of this small ridge line here as the sun sets. So in our dynamic, we have a 14-year-old animal named Iqniq. We call her Princess Bitchy Pants because she's super spicy. And even though he's twice her size, she's clearly his boss. Like you'll see, he really defers to her because she's the mother of them all in the metaphorical sense. She didn't actually have them as pups, but we get our animals as very young pups so that we can imprint them and do stuff like I'm doing right now safely. Because if he wasn't really comfortable with me, this would be very difficult. And it's that he trusts me and has such high confidence in me that I can take him out and we can climb a mountain together or go camping or, do any of these things that we do, which is super important because that enriches his life, right? I mean, orca don't get to go swim in the ocean and then come back to the pool. Our animals have a very large natural habitat. It's as good as any AZA facility anywhere. It's beautiful. We've invested our life savings in having a beautiful place for our animals. We live in a very modest, sort of shabby house, but our animals live in a place like this that just has a perimeter fence, even has a pond for them. But even so, I'm not happy with just that limitation. And so I invest a huge part of my life in taking my animals out as much as I can, as much as my body can handle. To put it in perspective, this is about a $400 boot, and I wear 2 to 3 pairs of those out a year because of all the hiking I do with the animals. All right, let me try to catch up with some of this really quick here, you guys. Hiking in 167 BC. Exactly. I am not on Netflix, but I've got some stuff in the works, and you can also find me on TikTok. And I'm actually working on a TEDx talk about how the truth of alpha wolves should inspire a better model of leadership. And I hope you guys will stay tuned for that when it gets out there. I also provide to organizations. I provide coaching on leadership inspired by the truth of alpha wolves. So if you're one of those people, all right, let's see here. What else? So I'm in the Sierras, kind of near Lake Tahoe. Let's see here. Trying to catch up. There's so many. Bear with me, guys. Plus, I got to watch him here. Poor wolves can jump higher than a human can, which means they can. That's right. Yes, that's exactly right, Yami Yamazuki. They can jump up and get on a rock outcropping. But it's not so bad that they can jump up, it's that they can jump down. And because I'm attached to him, if he decides to leap off a 12-foot drop, I'm going for a ride I don't want to go for. And I've been pretty badly hurt when he did that once before. So I'm very aware of what it is he's up to. Let's see here. I don't know. I was a professional road and mountain biker and a national team skier, and I was also a big wave surfer. And I still ski and snowboard. Right, can I see my face? Here's my face, people. People keep telling me that I look like the guy from The Walking Dead. I'm not really sure who that is exactly. My wife has shown me his picture, but I don't remember his name. So this is me, curmudgeonly mountain man. Actually, I'm looking especially spiffy today because I just trimmed my beard. My wife was like, "You're scary enough as it is, but that beard is too much." So I gave myself a little trim. It's springtime here, so yeah, this is me. What's up? What, did you just eat something gross and make yourself barf? They do the strangest things. Yeah, you did. You ate something weird. Okay, how about we don't eat that weird thing anymore? Come on. Come on, let's go this way. He's like, no, I want to eat more of the weird thing that made me barf. Come on. We're not doing that. I don't even know what that was. Come on. Come on, let's move on. So this is the thing. I'm lucky I can work with him on stuff like that. Like, I don't know what he was getting into up here. But so we're always in the snow. That's exactly right. Real alphas are just parents. The dog. All right, hang on a sec here. When we go downhill, I have to be super careful. That's when he hurts me. That's when his gravitational advantage, power, weight, and everything I'm carrying is hard on me here. Thank you so much, Unlocking Paradoxes. I wasn't sure what he was digging. I'm not in Alaska. I'm in Northern California. Let's see. Yeah, that's what happens, right? You stop looking so grumpy when you trim your beard and people are nicer. Thank you guys so much. I'm just catching up with all the comments here. I'm kind of blown up, which is awesome. The whole reason I do this is so I can chat with people and share about my knowledge about these animals and working with them. Hey there, Carrie Louise. Yeah, so occasionally we'll do something real special. Like if there's like a creator doing something on like Kickstarter, like a movie about wolves, and I can help them out, what I'll do is we'll auction off like a wolf experience where we'll bring people out and put them up and they can spend a day or two learning about wolves and take a couple walks with a wolf like Iqniq. But that's a sort of a rarity. Although I am working on a possibility of, with a couple partners, having a wolf experience where an Airbnb will have a habitat and you'll be able to actually lease the Airbnb for a group and spend a few days with me where the Airbnb will overlook the habitat, and there'll be cameras in the habitat, so you could watch the wolves on closed circuit the whole time and hear them howling at night and whatever. And I'll be there as a host the whole time. So that's kind of in the works, but that's going to take some time. Hey, and another wolf person is here. My friend Maine Girl Grows is actually, I'm going to out. Is it okay if I out you? She better let me know if it's okay. Let's see here. I'm waiting for her to respond. So, Maine Girl, can I out you? No. Okay. Then I'm not going to out her. But let's just say that she's one of my closest friends, and we've worked together on wolf projects. Very, very magical wolf projects. I guess that's all I'll say. But yeah, so there's a few amazing wolf people here. And I'm lucky that it's funny, whenever I'm on here for a minute, some of my wolf colleagues show up. I think they're just curious what crazy shit I'm doing. I generally have a reputation of being the craziest of wolf people. Are crazy. We're nuts. Like there's no doubt about it. It's a lifestyle that very few people are willing to undertake. And the few of us that have been doing it for a long time and doing it well are a very strange bunch. And I think most of them think I'm the nuttiest one of all. I'm pretty extreme. Thank you. So let me flip this back around. Iqniq is so much handsomer than me. I have a funny story. I was walking one of my animals. Yeah, we were getting ready to do a program, so I was in a town. I was walking an animal, and this car full of cute young ladies drives over and goes, "Your dog is a rock star." And I was like, "Oh, thank you. What about me?" And they were like, "Not so much." Truth, but still funny. So let's see here where Iqniq is going. But yeah, this is where we're at. You come to stay in the Airbnb. You can come stay in my sofa. Haha. What's one of my most memorable moments with Iqniq? Oh, well, okay. God, there's so many. I mean, teeny tiny baby Iqniq, like when we first got him, was one of the best experiences of my whole life, because bottle feeding baby wolves is just amazing. And it's just this critical time in your life with them that sets the stage for everything else. So that's up there for sure. And then, so I'll tell you about a tricky moment. So I took Iqniq out in the car to go explore this river area that I wanted to check out with him. And so we were having a good time. We're exploring. And while we were out there, a bunch of guys decided to go fishing right near where I needed to exit the area. And they were just doing their thing, you know, casting their flies and whatever. And Iqniq took one look at these unfamiliar dudes whipping things around in the air. And he was like, no bueno, not doing it. And I could not, for anything, get him around them. And they weren't leaving. It was like getting dark. I almost always have a lamp, but I'd been out there early enough. I just didn't expect I'd need a headlamp. I have to be careful here. He's got me through a big drift of snow. I don't want to punch through and hurt myself. So we're actually climbed a whole ridge here. Now we're up to some vacation houses here that live high above where I live. So show him closer. Iqniq. There he is. A beautiful boy. He's really something, isn't he? He really is something. And the thing about this animal is he's not just amazing looking, he's amazing nice. I mean, a lot of times you have these animals that as they get a little older, they get kind of grumpy and difficult to work with. especially like in breeding season, they can be, don't do it. Don't do it. We're on some bear shit, and I don't want them to roll in the bear shit. That's like a scent-related treat that they sometimes enjoy, but I don't enjoy it when they roll in bear shit. So yeah, I was getting him out of there, was hours and hours of just walking around in circles, waiting for these guys to pack it in, and they were fishing into the night, and I was getting eaten by bugs, and Iqniq was just like, nope, we're not going over there. And, you know, when I try to coax him over there, he would go the other way, and he was very strong. And so that one will sticks out in my memory for a challenging moment and a lesson. Have a flashlight, extra batteries, and bug spray all the time. I now carry 2 lamps with me everywhere I go when I'm out, because you never know when one's going to fail you. Let me show you something here in a sec. Iqniq, hold up. So check this out. So I wear a size 11 boot, and his footprint is like about 60% of the length of the boot and just as wide. And that's what a wolf track actually looks like. So you can see, it's kind of soft snow here, but you can see how it's got very distinct toe prints. Very distinct. They have very large toes, and their claws show. And usually their 2 front claws are kind of canted towards each other. That's an evolutionary advantage for having grip when you're running. And in the winter, when the ground is softer and snowy, their claws get very, very long and very, very sharp. They're kind of like ice picks in the winter, and that's what gives them much better traction in the snow. Yeah, it's really hard to say, why they think what they think. I mean, a lot of times I can figure it out. In this case, one of the things about wolves is that they have something called neophobia, and that literally means fear of the new. And once they're about 2 months old, 2 to 3 months old, if you haven't got them familiar with a ton of stuff, it's really hard to do later. Like they just, and the reason is when they're teeny tiny, they're in the den and they're learning who their family is and what their family smells like. And then they get a little older, but they're not very mobile, and they're really just supervised by family all the time. And because of that, they don't really have to be afraid of anything because there's not much that's able to hurt them. But then when they get a little older and they start exploring their world, there's more stuff that can just reach out and get them. And so what they learn is, number 1, to be suspicious of unfamiliar stuff. And number 2, to learn fast. So for example, like if you give a wolf a balloon and they bite the balloon and it pops in their face, everything round and floaty is never to be trusted again, ever. It's just amazing how just that one experience is enough to change them for their whole life. And you can imagine how that works. Like, a gunshot whizzes over their shoulder blades and nicks them. And the sounds right before that, like the clicking of the trigger mechanism or whatever, is enough that they are programmed now. I hear that sound, I get down, I get out of there, right? Or they get caught in a trap, but they get out of it. And that's enough for them to be aware for the rest of their life, of the smells associated with something like that. And so you really have to work hard to get them conditioned to stuff. And, it never occurred to me that we'd run into a bunch of people casting flies. And so I think he was just afraid of the unfamiliar behavior, unfamiliar people, just a bunch of weirdness all at once was a lot for him. Yeah, we both are, huh? What else here? Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, this is why I do this, is so I get a chance to answer interesting questions and share my experiences, and most importantly, to share these amazing animals and give people a positive impression of what they're really about, so they understand how important they are. And by the way, right now, if you guys want to be informed, right now, because of Senator or Congresswoman Boebert in Colorado, they are trying to remove federal protections from wolves nationwide. And this would be devastating to wolf populations and wolf recovery. In states where you're allowed to hunt wolves right now, they're allowed to chase them with dogs, run them over with snowmobiles, shoot them, use night vision on them, bait them, use electronic calls, like trap them, snare them, land airplanes and shoot them from the ground. I mean, it's just hideous what's going on. And we're trying to prevent that from happening in other states. And so if you just keep an eye, I mean, if you really care, I could put up a post of a letter you could write to your Congress people to have them oppose this new legislation, which is completely unscientific. They call it the Pet and Livestock Protection Act. Wolves rarely ever kill pets or livestock. Less than, where are we going now? I think this is an interesting thing. He really likes this area, but it's because there's bears over here sometimes. I'm not super keen on it myself, but here we go. They always create these acts with these very deceptive names, like the Trust the Science Act, right? And this act is a favor to lazy ranchers that don't care to do the work of protecting their livestock or cleaning up the dead animals that draw predators in. And it would be devastating we've spent $100 million to bring wolf populations back. There's less than 8,000 wolves in the whole lower 48. There used to be 2 million wolves in North America. I mean, we almost totally wiped them out. Like a subspecies like Iqniq was functionally extinct in North America outside of Canada and Alaska. And so this act would push them back to the brink of extinction for no good reason and to benefit a teeny tiny group of crybaby ranchers. And just so you know, I come from a ranching family. So when these guys whine and cry about how hard it is, their job, I know their job. I did their job when I was a kid. And we did it a lot better than them, and we didn't whine about wolves. So I'm not sympathetic to that kind of attitude. Yeah, they don't, you're right, exactly, macros. That's totally true. Unfortunately, this round is looking, I don't even want to say it. It's looking likely to prevail. Like, there's just such a crazy, terrible, anti-science position of our representatives right now. They're not interested in climate or endangered species protections or nature or what's going to happen to their kids. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just, we're going to need a couple of Republicans with a conscience to hold the line. And we're going to need every Democrat. And some of them, you'd be surprised, but there are some Democrats that, their position is political, not rational or scientific. They're more interested in their own political income and career and possibilities than they are in actual science or the well-being of ecosystems. I mean, there is no doubt that wolves keep ecosystems healthy and vibrant. I will tell you that right now there's a plague. It's an actual plague that is spreading through North America. It's called chronic wasting disease. It's also known as zombie deer disease. And it's not like any other disease you've ever heard about. It's terrifying. So this disease is what's called a prion disease. And a prion disease is, yes, support your homesteader. Sorry, guys. I wish we'd preserved wildlife. Sat behind a desk. I don't live in the real world. Yes, you're exactly right, Macros. It is exactly like Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. It is the wildlife variant of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. It's the same basic deal. And the situation with CJD or CWD, as they call it, or zombie deer, as it's commonly called now, is that the way it spreads is terrifying. So an infected animal will drop the infectious agent prions in their feces. It gets into the soil. It then grows up through the grass, among other things. And the animals that then graze on the grass can be infected. There is no cure. It is not symptomatic for a very long time, which means that an infected animal can be infectious and spreading the disease for years. Whole herds can go down. And the only thing that we know that effectively slows it down is selective predation by wolves. Wolves do not appear to be infected with the disease. Maybe they don't live long enough, but there just appears to be no evidence that they're infected. And they slow the spread. And one great example of that is in Wisconsin. In the counties where there are wolves, the prevalence of chronic wasting disease in animals that have been harvested and tested is 26%. And in the counties where there aren't wolves in Wisconsin, the prevalence is 74%. And the only thing that's different is wolves versus no wolves. And that is a shocking outcome of, there's been a question, can that spread to people? Well, we seem to be getting our answer because there were two hunters from a deer lodge in Michigan. The only thing they had in common was this deer lodge where they hunted, and it was known to a population that was a reservoir of chronic wasting disease. Both men died of the human variant of chronic wasting disease, CJD, which there's just not a good explanation for what happened because it is it's like a Dr. House rare disease. So the fact that two guys who had that in common got it where they were likely consuming infected game tells you a lot about the potential harm. And what these ranchers who are whining about wolves don't seem to understand is that if it can get to people, it can get to livestock. And if we have just one case, a few years ago, we killed 400 million head of cattle and sheep because they got a similar disease called bovine spongiform encephalopathy. And it put us on the red list. We couldn't send meat to Brazil or Japan or Australia or New Zealand until we cleared it up. Some of those countries still don't accept meat from us. And so this is much more pervasive and pernicious if it gets established. And so if we have just one case jump to livestock, our entire livestock industry is under threat. And it could be existential. I mean, it could just end livestock. I don't know why he's taking me up here. I'm not super keen on this. Hey, Iqniq, let's not go this way. Let's go this way. Oh, he's got it in his head. He wants to go a certain way. So this is the kind of thing where my experience and patience will pay off. We're gonna sort out, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give him a little bit of room here to go a certain way, and I'm gonna give him a little turn here. I don't like this because I don't like walking towards cars. All right. Yeah, you make me walk towards cars on this road for a sec. I don't like it. Guys, bear with me for a sec. I'm gonna have to pop out a headlamp so I'm a little more visible. It'll take me a sec to get my lamp out of my pack here. We're gonna hopefully turn down this road here and get away from this. Nothing's busy up here, but even a little road is more than I want. I can hear all the other animals in my habitat howling about they're about a half a mile away. All right, there we go. Now I'm visible. All right, you want to go this way more? Come on. Don't eat bones. Come on. That's someone's chicken bones. Come on, let's go this way. The thing about working with Iqniq here is he's big enough and powerful enough. You're not really dragging him around. You got to more kind of collaborate with him. Come on, let's go this way. Come on. Come on. We're going to go down here and we're going to cut through a different piece of public land. Come on. So I have to ask this car to slow down here. Thank you. All right. I don't like walking this way. Come on, we're going to go this way now. So this is the plan here. We'll see if it works. And it seems to have. Got him in a redirection. Got to turn around. Here we go. I suspect he smells a bear and he wants to go look. That's the only reason he would be going up this way. The bears are just waking up here right now. They'll care when it happens there is the deal, right? Like you don't, I mean, the ranchers they're like, oh, we're not worried about it. You know, we want to, subsistence hunt. We want to public lands graze. Wolves are a problem. Prion disease is not so much, but, the thing about human beings is we don't figure out the shit that's going to happen until it happens. We're just like, oh, worry about that when the day comes. But the thing is, some of those things, you can't put that genie back in a bottle. And this is a big, mean genie they're letting out of the bottle. And wolves are the stopper on that bottle, is the deal. Plus, I don't understand why people wouldn't want to have an amazing, big, smart, natural predator exerting its nature-created role in an ecosystem. I mean, to me, like, nature that has wolves and cougars and grizzly bears and wolverines is alive. It's real nature. It's not a theme park with trees and Bambi. Hey, Dallas. Hey, Austin. So here we got. All right. So, Iqniq, we're gonna go this way. Come on. Come on. He's kind of looking up there like that's where I want to go. But that isn't where we're going to go. We're going to go down this road and cut back into the forest. Because why walk on a road when you can walk in the forest? From one of my lives? I think I do, Dallas. One of my lifetimes. I try hard not to remember most of my other lifetimes. They ended badly. That's why I'm in this one. The other ones are over. I mean, you're totally right. I mean, it's 0.01% of livestock losses can be attributed to wolves. Of 8.53% of all livestock die because of illness, injury, negligence, like get their head stuck in a fence, falling in a hole, drinking water in a poison stock tank because the ranchers didn't keep it clean and it got green algae, which is toxic. I mean, I can go on and on about all the ways that these guys have their livestock die that are their fault. But, the tiny, paltry, nope. All right, we're not. Hey, we're not. Come on. We're going to go this way. We're going to go this way, mister. The tiny, paltry number that wolves take. I mean, wolves don't even really... The thing about wolves is they really are specialists. Like, they really want to eat elk, deer, caribou, bison, musk oxen, moose. Those are like the big main food sources for wolves, and they're really specialists. And the only reason that they typically, he's really pulling. So bears leave trash around here sometimes. They tear up people's trash bins. All right, Iqniq, let's roll into the woods, please. Not those woods. All right, come on, come on. So much better in the woods. Come on. Steer clear of the garbage. Come on, leave that. Good boy. See, this is bears making a mess of people's trash. Now we're in the woods again. If I can get him away from the trash. Let me stop her. Oh, hey, Dan. Welcome, buddy. I mean, so it was, you know, the problem is that when wolves cross an imaginary boundary, the rules change. They don't know the rules change, but the rules change. And I think it's devastating. I mean, I think that as bad as cattle ranchers are, and again, I am the grandson of one of the largest beef producers in Colorado history. At any one time, we might have had 50,000 head of cattle in our operation, which is massively bigger than any of these range operations in the United States today. The only operations that are bigger than that are feedlot operations. Nobody has those kind of herds. It's just impossible now. Again, you know, I have experience in this area, but and as bad as I think ranchers are, and I think that modern ranchers are really, a lot of them, I mean, not all of them, I don't want to lump everybody in. There are some predator-friendly, amazing. So I don't want to put everyone in the same bucket of trash. There are some amazing guys, including people I'm friendly with, who have done a remarkable job with their operations and sustainable grazing and predator-friendly practices. They prove it can be done. It totally can be done. In fact, there's a guy named Joe Englehart in Alberta. Joe has been a rancher in Alberta for many, many, many years. He's got the full complex. He's got cougar, grizzly, and wolf. Has never lost an animal to wolves because he does the work. So, you know, it can be done. I mean, he's proof positive it can be done. But these guys in Colorado, there's 15, 16 wolves in Colorado. Maybe there's 20 wolves in Colorado. And they're screaming like the sky is falling. And I mean, you know, they want to be the Marlboro Man, but they're really more like Chicken Freaking Little. You know, like, that's the thing, is if you want to be credible, if you want us to think that you're a big, tough, macho cowboy, then operate ethically and sustainably and deal with a couple of big wild dogs on the landscape. Clean up your mess. Do the work. And if you don't want to do the work, then find new work. That's my perspective on it. And what I was getting at there, Dan, is that as bad as these cattle ranchers are, sheep are worse. They're worse for the environment. They're pathetic, completely helpless. I mean, most sheep losses associated with predation happens because the sheep panic and they run like into a gully and they stack up on each other and they suffocate. It's called a sheep wreck. And that's how stupid and there's a bear tore all this up here. Bears are going for grubs right now. And so you see all these like stumps that are tore up, these rotten stumps. That's what bear did that. But yeah, so you see just destruction with these sheep herders, and they go nuts over wolves and coyotes, and they want to poison them. I mean, they're unethical too. Like, they will poison them, right? So unfortunately, this Colorado wolf crossed over into Wyoming, where wolves have no protections at all, and a sheep fucker got it, shot it, killed it, and we're going to see more of that. I'm sure some of what I just said is not terribly popular with people, but it's really the truth. I mean, you know, you listen to anybody who's like worked with wildlife services, who had to deal with sheep ranchers, and you'll hear the same thing. They're just the worst. They are the worst. They have the most easily killed, pathetic, vulnerable animals, and I mean, even ranchers shit on the shepherds. All right, let me see here. Try to read some of this here. When I'm walking, it's a little hard. I kind of got to have a pause. Yeah, this is the other thing. You're right. Gosh, you guys are so into this. It's kind of amazing, right? I mean, now that's right. They were crying and whining about advocates, doing things like public records requests to know who was getting paid for what. And these guys got the Colorado Department of Parks and Wildlife to cover their tracks for them. It's just another example of the state agency kissing the ass of a tiny part of the population to the detriment of everybody else, including the voters that brought wolves back, which, you don't like it, oh well, it was ballot box. And I'm not necessarily in favor of ballot box biology. I think that real managers should manage, but in the interest of the species, the ecosystem, and the public in that order. And ranchers, farmers, extractive industry are not the public. They are a tiny constituent with an outsized influence. And yes, one rancher made almost $1 million in claims, and we don't even know how many livestock he lost, but it was like 100 head, and that wasn't wolves. That was cattle rustling or fraud. I kind of think it was fraud, to be honest, which is one of the reasons why I think these guys don't want their information out there, is because it's easier to commit fraud when nobody can keep an eye on you. What do we do to mitigate the harmful effects of wildlife services and ranchers? Great question. I mean, it's harder now than ever. I mean, unfortunately, right now, I think our best recourse, number one, is lawsuits. So supporting organizations that are actively suing and have been successful. For example, Western Watersheds, an organization I know and support. I'm friends with their director. In fact, he and his daughter visited me and my animals this last summer. Earth Justice represents a lot of these organizations as their legal defense. Great organization. Project Coyote has a very interesting approach. They work to get wildlife services contracts canceled by the communities they serve. They go in there and they show them better, more humane methods of dealing with livestock and wildlife conflict. And they have been amazingly successful at helping to get some of those contracts canceled, especially in California, which is their base of operations. The other thing that they're effective at is stopping these grotesque wildlife killing contests, which are just a violation of every ethical hunting concept in the world. Just sickening. And so I would support those organizations. Stay tuned to what's happening. Be willing to write your congressman. And I'm going to give you a tip on how you can write your congressman in 2 minutes. So you get these emails. It's like, please help us write your congressman. Tell him, to not vote for this act or that act. Well, what you do is you go to ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini or whatever AI tool you like, put in the letter you got, and just say, please write a letter in response to this and address it to my congressman. I live in San Francisco, California. And it will spit out a super high quality letter. It'll tell you where to modify it to add your own details. And then you can mail it in. It scales massively. And if we would all do that to most of the letters we get, these guys would be inundated with letters from their constituents that are personal. And it would change the dynamic, because one of the things that we can do then is we can request a public records request of the letters that they've received in favor of or in opposition to these pieces of legislation. And those records speak for themselves. And if you've got Congress people that are ignoring the will of their constituents, well, your recourse is vote them out. Find somebody that actually is interested in the will of the people in a democratically elected constitutional republic. Yeah, you're totally right there, Macros. You're totally right. Wyoming and Wisconsin are the two worst states in the country by far. And then you've got Idaho would be third, I guess. But yeah, it's despicable. It's unfortunate that people aren't. All right, Iqniq, we got to get out the road. Come on, let's go. Come here. This is such a weird walk. We almost never cross a road, but I've been letting him go where he wants, and he keeps taking me back to the road. So yeah, those are the things, right? I mean, vote and stay engaged. Hey, let's go this way. Come on, let's go this way. Vote and stay engaged to keep your representatives honest and accountable. Support the organizations that are capable of winning lawsuits. And write letters. I mean, those are the, and learn everything you can. I mean, follow people like me who are invested in educating the public and are capable of doing so in a coherent, rational way, and go out armed with that new knowledge. So the next time somebody says they're killing all the game, say, well, let's dig into that a little bit. Okay, so let's see. There was how many wolves? There was 2 million wolves. There were 60 million bison. I don't think they're killing all the game. I think they probably keep the herds healthy. Oh, what about, chronic wasting disease? Well, we just talked about that. So, I think there's plenty of opportunities. And, I mean, there's people you're never going to educate on anything. I mean, that's just the truth. But like this last summer, I had people come up along my property line, and they were sort of standing there staring at some of my animals. And our cameras trip whenever that happens. And so I came out to check them out, and they were all wearing like kind of attire like I wear, hunting attire. And, they were kind of ogling the animals, and so I engaged them, and I come to find out they're from Idaho, like Wolf Killer Central. And so they asked me a few questions, and because I look and talk kind of like them, and obviously, I know a thing or two about these animals since I was sitting there living with them. But as a result of that, I was able to actually have a real conversation with these guys, and they were surprised at what I was telling them. Like, they were like, really? They just didn't know. They watch freaking Fox News, and they listen to. Sorry, buddy. I grabbed a tree, and he was like, oh, don't like that. All right, we're back in our community now. We're gonna head back towards I try sometimes to walk him through a neighborhood so he gets some exposure to like houses and cars and people to keep him fresh on that. So when I have to do stuff with him, it's easier. You're right, Dan. Wisconsin it's so sad. Oh, night, Maine girl. Love ya. I'll give him a big hug for you. Your secret's safe with me, but I'll give him a big hug. Well, the way I'm trying to scale it is, doing this, trying to, have clips that go viral. I'm about to do a whole series that I think is going to get a bunch of attention, because I'm just going to start grabbing Joe Rogan clips about wolves, and then I'm going to break them down into the truth of it. And there's so many Joe Rogan fans that hopefully, ultimately what would be amazing is if I could get invited to be on Joe Rogan or Lex Fridman and spend 4 hours patiently educating them. What would be even more amazing is if Joe Rogan or Lex Fridman would come hang out with me at my place for a couple days and really learn. Just really learn. Like, give them, the deep dive into these animals. Because I think that if they had that experience, they'd become some of our most valuable allies instead of these, half-baked, myth-spreading, uninformed guys that do so much harm because they have such a huge platform, right? We got to figure out ways to co-opt their platforms for good. If you see me walking a wolf. So Iqniq, the funny thing about Iqniq here, he could kill a man. There is no doubt he could kill me if he decided he wanted to kill me. But he's a big chicken. He'll see, there's no one out here tonight. But a lot of times we'll be out in the woods and somebody will just be walking up the trail the other way. And he's like, no, no effing way. We're not going that way. He'll drag me off a cliff to get away from the strange human. Like, he's smart. He knows we're, two-legged beings are the scariest monsters on earth. They kill everything. And he knows. He's super smart. So he only is sociable to very few people. Thank you, Carrie. I really appreciate that. I've got a lot of practice talking about this. This has been so as I mentioned to you guys, and I'm sorry for, just talking behind a camera, but now I've got this headlamp on, and when I turn the camera around, all you see is just the glare of the light. I fell in love with wolves when I was 4, and I really undertook a lifetime of study, and I think it's fair to say, there's always somebody you don't know about out there in the world, but I think it's fair to say that there are very few people who have spent as much time studying, observing, and living with the species as I have at this point in my life. And because my home is actually inside my habitat, fully in my habitat, I have to, when I want to get my groceries to my front door, I have to time it right or I'm going to lose them. I mean, like, if Iqniq gets a hold of my bag of groceries, it's done. There's no way I'm going to take it out of his mouth. So, we have a very interesting dynamic. And if you watch my YouTube channel, you'll see my animals sometimes come in the house, and sometimes that's chaos, and our house is kind of a disaster because it's very hard to maintain a nice home when you have these guys trespassing there. So, I have this very connected experience with these guys, which I think positions me to speak pretty knowledgeably about them. And of course, my livestock ranching family background makes me a huge target for those guys, because they can't say, a lot of times what they say is, oh, we'll let the wolves loose in Los Angeles and see how you like it, right? And they can't do that to me, and that makes me worse, because they can't just diminish what I'm saying or, just minimize or humiliate me. It's the shoe is on the other foot, and so that's why I've been getting death threats since I was a kid, and I have. I'm sorry, I don't want you to live in a cage. No one should live in a cage. That sucks. Well, I hope you do a good job with them, because I get phone calls every week there, Coast, from people who got themselves wolf dogs, and they were more than they bargained for. And right now there's, 300,000 wolf dogs in the United States, and most of them are in rescue or are going to be soon. They're definitely not for everyone. So if you're good at it, hats off to you. I'm working on a problem right now, actually. There's a woman just reached out to me 2 days ago from Winter Park, Florida. Her brother got himself 2 pretty high content animals from a breeder I know of. And he shouldn't have got them anyway, because he didn't have the proper property, but he was committed to it and doing a pretty good job. And then he had a stroke. And now he can't walk. Nobody else can handle the animals. He doesn't want to let them go, but he can't take care of them. They're stuck in his house, destroying his house. They're becoming unwell. They can't be properly vetted because nobody can get them in a car. And his sister, who's 11 hours away in Florida somewhere else, reached out to me for help, and I'm trying to point her in a direction where she can get some help. But that's not unusual for me. Does Jesus love your dog? That's a question. I mean, I guess you would say, what, Jesus loves everyone? I'm not that guy. Nature is my church, so I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable about epistemology. I'm knowledgeable about biology and science and ecosystems, and a little bit about communications and a small bit about social media, I suppose, now. I know a hell of a lot about making raw food for wolves. Been doing that for 40 years. Anybody got any more questions for me? We're kind of coming towards the end of my hike this evening with Iqniq. And of course, if you want to support what I do, which is always appreciated, here are a few things you can do. I am the author of a book, The Wolf Lover's Guide to Raising Dogs. I promise you, if you read my book and take inspiration from what I've written, your dog will love you more and be happier. That's on Amazon, Wolf Lover's Guide to Raising Dogs. You can buy my merch at oliverthewolfguy.com. I have some cute merch featuring a cartoonized version of Iqniq, posing the question, if not friend, why friend shaped? More fun merch to come. You could support my nonprofit, which is TahoeWolfCenter.org. Yeah, and I've heard, I've heard that they've discontinued those programs because the animals are just too difficult. There's not enough advantages to offset all the disadvantages of the work. And so they have largely abandoned those programs. I think what's really interesting, though, is what the Russians are doing with jackals for drug sniffing, which is super interesting. They have a very unusual project they did that has some pretty remarkable drug sniffing dogs. Oh, what kind of cookies do wolves like? I think Iqniq really likes the ritual of the cookie, just because it's sort of our little thing. I come out late at night when it's just him, and I bring him a little present. You know, sometimes it's cookie, sometimes it's something else. The last video I did, I brought him a little Madeleine, like a sort of a soft, sweet cookie. What else does he like? He usually will accept anything I bring him at that time, just because it's sort of like our little ritual. He likes almond cookies. I don't give him anything but chocolate. There's these chicken treats he really likes. I'll bring him those sometimes. That's not quite a cookie, but it's the same deal, basically. But the girls are way pickier eaters than the boys usually, at least in my experience. So we're about to cut back into the woods here, and once we do, we'll be right on the backside of part of my habitat, and we will probably see some of our other critters here. And then usually what I do when I'm wrapping up these live streams is I'll put the camera in my chesty for a second as I unclip an animal, and then you can see some interaction with the other animals. And oh, really? You don't want to go that way? I do, though. He's angling for a longer mission here. Let's go see our people. Come on. It's your people. He's like, no. He wants more. This is the thing. Sometimes they're like, I'm not quite ready to wrap it up yet. Let's see if I can turn him over here. Can we go this way, Iqniq? Come on, your people are right down there. Let's go see our people. So in this case, we're just starting to allow the males to spend some time with our subadult females that are just out of season. And so we're being very cautious about that because we don't want any puppies. And so I'll be releasing Iqniq in with the girls for a minute. And they are going to go nutty. So it's probably worth hanging out for a sec to see that interaction, because it's pretty fun. They, in particular, Mooney, who is Iqniq's girlfriend, has been pining away for Iqniq for months. And so when she gets to be all over him, he almost looks like he's shocked because they're so intense. He's sort of chill, and they're just nutty. And actually, you can see, this is the other animals here. This is our male, our pup. Hey, Iqniq, we're going to go this way. Come on, let's go see our people. Come on. So this is Akutak, our matriarch, and Nunariak, our juvenile male that we rescued this year. He's going to be a big boy. He's already 130 pounds, and he's just about to turn a year old. And then we've got our little Malamute, Nepente, who has grown up with wolves, and we call her a skunk wolf because she acts like a wolf and's got skunk colors. Hi, skunk wolf. Hi, skunk wolf. And just so you have an idea of how big that Nunariak is, the tan animal, Nepente is an 80-pound dog. She is not a small dog, but next to him, she looks like a Shiba Inu. That's how big he is. So he and Iqniq are just giant. Oh, hi. Oh, hello, hello. So this is family greeting. Hi, the pet day. Oh, so cute. Chewy, there's the boss. She's really the boss. See, she's gonna get grumpy. All right, now we're gonna see if I can't get Iqniq back to our habitat and let him in with the girls for just a minute or two. Although, I'm kind of rethinking it. Just because he's on a leash, it's easier for me to move him where I want him than, let's think about this. This time of year is super tricky because the animals are still a bit spicy with each other, and we have to be careful that we don't make mistakes on where people are, because that can be pretty grievous. And if animals get into it, getting them apart you're gonna get bit up. No matter how good at this you are, if you're dealing with fighting wolves, you get bit up. You just get bit up. And I'm not a fan. It's not my first rodeo, and I am not a fan. So here we got Sonny and Mooney, and they're pretty excited about Iqniq. All right, so I am going to have to put this here. So bear with me. I'm not going to be able to see my screen because I'm putting this in a little chest rig here. All right. Iqniq, come on, let's go home. Sometimes he's fussy about this. Come on, let's go see our people. Come on. Oh, he's being good so far. He doesn't like going by the car. Come on, come here. Oh, good boy. That's pretty good. All right, and the girls are very excited. Come here, Iqniq. All right, so I'm going to try to just walk him straight through, if I can. All right. All right, ladies, say hi to him. A little bit of craziness here. Let him out of there. Oh dear, here we go. See, he's like, you guys are too intense. I'm not super liking it. All right, come on. So hopefully I can coax him into our airlock between the two habitats. Iqniq, come on with me, come on. Come on. Oh, Sonny. He's leaped into my face. All right, come on, Iqniq. All right, now, this is tricky. Iqniq. All right. That worked exactly how I hoped. Like that. Hey, stop that, Nepente. And we're going to release him into this rear habitat with everybody else. Nepente, stop it. You're egging everyone on. All right, Iqniq. Now, the idea is that Iqniq is going to get Iqniq. Nope, get back. Let him through. There we go. That, my friends, is how I do it. Doesn't always go that perfectly. Kiwi, step away. Don't be spicy. Come here. Yeah. Hi. Hello. Hello. He's going to leap in my face. Hi, Noonie. Whew. Okay. And we are.